Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah, and in this video I am going to be doing a single book review for the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I thought this book was so interesting that it deserved a single review on its own. I apologize for my little fingerprints all over this book. This book has an interesting texture on the front, this paperback, and it just picks up the little bit of grease on your fingers. So apologies for that. The Atlas 6 is about 6 main characters. We're actually following 6 point of views in this book, and each of the 6 characters is a type of magic user. They are asked or given the opportunity to compete in a magical competition where 5 of the 6 are chosen to be part of a secret society. In this world, the Library of Alexandria never was burned, or it was burned, but it was a fake death of the library, so the library went into hiding, and the Alexandrian Society protects the archive of the Library of Alexandria, and this takes place in like modern times, but with magic and open magic users in the world. So the 6 main characters are all different types of magic users competing for the 5 spots. So that's what the Atlas 6 are. Atlas is the caretaker of the library, and he's the one that asks the 6 main characters to compete for the society spots. We are following Libby and Nico, who are kind of the same type of magic user. They're called physicists, so they can change the physics of their environment around them in like wave form and that sort of thing. Rena is a naturalist, so she can speak to plants, she can hear plants speaking to her, she can grow plants, and she is kind of like a battery. She enhances the abilities of the other magic users. Like when they touch her, she can imbue them with like additional power. Then we follow Parisa, I think is how you say her name, and she is a telepath. She can read people's minds. And then Callum, who is an empath, so he can read people's emotions, not necessarily their minds. And Tristan is the last character, and he has probably the most mysterious powers out of everyone, and in the beginning he is treated as an illusionist, but there is more to his powers than just illusion magic. So those are the 6 main characters. This is queer, so I do want to call that out. There aren't any specific labels used, but I will say Nico is clearly in love with his male roommate. Libby and Parisa both are some type of bisexual, pansexual. They seek relationships with both men and women. And there's also a little bit of a possible male-male romance between Callum and Tristan. So there is queer representation in this book, even though it's not specifically labeled as such. We also get to see some of the important side characters. We have Ezra, who is Libby's boyfriend when she gets into the society, Atlas, who is the caretaker, as I said earlier, and Dalton. Dalton was one of the participants in the competition 10 years prior, and he stayed on as basically a teacher and a tutor for the current 6 competitors. And so those are important characters, and you get to see them through the eyes of the 6 point of view chapters. In my opinion, my personal taste, I don't love multi-POV stories, specifically when there are this many characters. And the reason I don't is because I usually feel like 1 or 2 or some of the characters get left out, or they don't get as much attention as other characters. It feels unbalanced. And there was one point of view that I felt wasn't as developed, wasn't as compelling as the other 5. I thought Rena's chapters While advancing the plot, I didn't think she got as much character development as the other 5 characters. So I did enjoy this, but that is something that I wanted to call out. This takes place over a span of time, over a year, and it feels really natural, though, the passage of time, and it doesn't feel like we're missing out on anything. This is very character driven, so if you enjoy character stories, this is for you. If you love characters who are horrible people like I do, this is the book for you. All of these people are pretty despicable. They're greedy and manipulative, and this whole book is about them playing mind games with each other and trying to psych each other out because it's a competition to, you know, they're competing for 5 spots, so they're forming allyships and betrayals and all this sort of like entanglement between these 6 characters, and that's really fascinating to me, reading about horrible people. I just find they're the most interesting characters. So if you love character work, if you love character-driven stories, if you like messed up people as characters, I highly recommend this book. This is an adult novel. This is not young adult. All of the characters are in their mid to late 20s, I believe, possibly even in their early 30s. It's not really specified. Post-college for sure. This does have sex in it, but it's not explicit smut scenes. A lot of it is like fade to black, or it's not really explicitly described. One downfall of this book is I did think the first 100 pages were a little slow moving, a little confusing, a little info dumpy, especially in the beginning. There's like a whole chapter prologue where it's just world building, talking about the secret society, and I was like, that's not very interesting and not a really great way to open a book and to convey this information, in my opinion. So didn't love that about it. However, the latter 250, 280 pages I read in one sitting. I was entranced after that 120 page mark, and I could not put it down. The one thing I also want to talk about is the writing in this book. The writing, I would say, is considered flowery or a little pretentious, if you will. It's a little over the top, but in my opinion, it works for the type of story that this is. This is a dark academic vibe. All of these characters are kind of snooty and uppity, and from like, many of them are from like really rich families, so they have that type of snootiness to them, and I think the writing kind of complements the type of characters that we have in this book. The one thing about the writing that I found challenging was the descriptions of the settings and the locations. So the character work with the writing style works really well, but the descriptions of place and setting were a little off to me, and I had a hard time imagining what the setting was, where we were in this. They're in a house, a mansion, in the archives. I had a hard time imagining what it all looked like. Each of the characters is described fine. You get a really good sense of what they look like, but the setting, I had a hard time grasping that. So pros and cons to the writing, and it's all about, you know, your personal taste and what you enjoy in your writing. But this is pretentious, if you will. Without going into spoilers, this does have a twist ending, a bit of a cliffhanger ending, and it made my mouth drop open. I was so surprised, but at the same time, it all kind of made sense. Nothing worse than an ending that kind of comes out of nowhere, but I think this tied everything together really well while still having a bit of a twist at the end. The genre of this, I would say, is dark academia, magical fantasy. It's not really a thriller or a horror novel, but it does have some psychological elements because the characters are like messing with each other, but it's not scary in any way. The sequel to this book does come out in 2022, and I am definitely going to be picking it up. I really enjoyed this book. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I ended up giving it a 4.25 stars. I know that sounds a little weird, but it was better than a 4, but I had just just enough qualms with it that I couldn't give it a full 5. So I ended up giving it a 4 stars on Goodreads and a 4.25 in my records, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the sequel. So if you like character-driven fantasy, lots of character point of views, flowery writing, dark academia that is diverse with its in terms of like different people of different races from all over the world and queer representation, I think this is a great option for you, and I definitely think it is worth your time and worth a read. So that was hopefully a quick review of The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. I want to say thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you are interested in this book, as I would love to know, and I will see you in my next video very soon.